On the morning of the 23rd of March 2021, the Suez Canal was blocked after the grounding of Ever Given, a 20,002 container ship. The 400-meter-long vessel was buffeted by strong winds and ended up wedging itself across the waterway, bow and stern stuck in the canal bank, which prevented other vessels from passing through that part of the Suez Canal. The vessel was finally freed 6 days later. Egyptian authorities said there may have been technical or human errors also involved. The obstruction was south of the section of the canal that has 2 channels, so there was no way for other ships to bypass Ever Given. The Suez Canal Authority engaged Boskalis through its subsidiary Smith International to manage marine salvage operations. The canal is one of the world's busiest trade routes, and the obstruction had a significant negative impact on trade between Europe and Asia and the Middle East. On the 28th of March, at least 369 ships were queuing to pass through the canal. This prevented an estimated $9.6 billion worth of trade. On the 29th of March, Ever Given was partially refloated and moved by about 80% in the correct direction, although the bow remained stuck until the ship was finally freed by Egyptian, Dutch, and Italian tugs at 15:05 EGY and started moving under tow towards the Great Bitter Lake for technical inspection. The canal was checked for damage, and after being found to be sound, the SCA allowed shipping to resume from 1900 EGY. The vessel was impounded by the Egyptian government on the 13th of April 2021 for refusing to pay a reported $900 million in fees demanded by the government. The Suez Canal, one of the world's most important trading routes, was opened in 1869. By 2021, approximately 50 ships per day traveled through the canal, about 12% of total global trade at the time. For much of its length, however, the canal is not wide enough to allow traffic to travel in both directions at once. Convoys of ships must take turns transients these segments of the waterway. An expansion project is underway, but significant portions of the canal remain single-lane. Ever Given liabilities insurance coverage is provided by Mutual UKP and iClub. The ship is insured in the Japanese market. Insurance industry sources say the ship's owners could be facing insurance claims from the Suez Canal Authority for loss of revenue and other ships whose passage has been impeded. Container ships of this size are typically insured for hull and machinery damage to an amount totaling between $100 and $140 million. Bill Kavanagh, a National Maritime College of Ireland lecturer and former captain, has described sailing through the Suez Canal as a very complex and high-risk operation. Wind gusts will cause the container areas of vessels to act like a sail, and thus affect the course of the ship. The momentum of a heavy ship, such as Ever Given, is difficult to counteract if blown off course. The government of Egypt requires ships traversing the canal to be boarded by an Egyptian Suez crew, including one or more official maritime pilots from Egypt's SCA who command the ship, taking over from the regular crew and the captain. There were 2 Egyptian SCA pilots on board at the time of the accident. On the 23rd of March 2021, at 7:40 EGY mark, and turned sideways, unable to free itself, blocking the canal on both sides. The crew, consisting entirely of Indian nationals, was accounted for and no injuries were reported. At the time of the incident, the ship was traveling from Tanjung Pelepas, Malaysia, to the port of Rotterdam, Netherlands. It was fifth in a northbound convoy, with 15 vessels behind it when it ran aground near the village of Munshi et Rugula. According to an analysis of data from ship tracking websites by Evert Letter, head of Maritime Technology Division at the University of Ghent, the bank effect, which may cause the stern of a ship to swing toward the near bank when operating in constricted waterway, may have contributed to the grounding, along with the lateral forces of west to east winds pushing sideways against the northbound ship. Since most of the focus of modern ship design is directed towards efficiency and stability at sea, the effects of hydrodynamics in shallow waters, especially in light of the rapidly growing size of ships in the past decade, remain somewhat obscure and in need of further study. Over 300 vessels at both ends of the canal were obstructed by Ever Given, including 5 other container ships of similar size. These included 41 bulk carriers and 24 crude oil tankers. The affected vessels represented roughly 16.9 million tons of deadweight. Some docked at ports and anchorages in the area, while many remained in place. The Ever Given's sister ship, Ever Greet, was affected by the disruption, as were two Russian Navy vessels, Sterigushchia-class corvette Stoiky and Altai-class oiler Kola. These two vessels, believed to have been the only military vessels affected by the blockage, were conducting naval